You hear the music. Hello, everybody. I'm Ed Robinson, and welcome to another exciting edition of the League Wraparound. This is the program that gets you caught up on anything and everything happening around the National Football League. Coming up on this edition of the program, we have your Week 2 game picks, plus my game of the week. That's all coming up on this edition of the program. But before we jump into Week 2, let's give you the scores from Week 1's games in the National Football League. The Thursday night opener between the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs would hold on to beat the Ravens 27-20. The game in Sao Paulo, Brazil between the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles would win 34-29. The New Orleans Saints handled their business beating the Carolina Panthers 47-10. The Minnesota Vikings took care of the New York Giants 28-6. The New England Patriots upset the Cincinnati Bengals 16-10. The Pittsburgh Steelers beat the Atlanta Falcons 18-10. The Houston Texans beat the Indianapolis Colts 29-27. The Buffalo Bills beat the Arizona Cardinals 34-28. The Chicago Bears beat the Tennessee Titans 24-17. The Miami Dolphins beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 20-17. The Seattle Seahawks beat the Denver Broncos 26-20. The Los Angeles Chargers took care of the Las Vegas Raiders 22-10. The Dallas Cowboys had no problems as they beat the Cleveland Browns 33-17. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Washington Commanders 37-20. Sunday Night Football saw a thriller in overtime in the Motor City as the Detroit Lions beat the Los Angeles Rams 26-20. And Monday Night Football saw the return of Aaron Rodgers, but the San Francisco 49ers, they took care of business beating the New York Jets. Final score 32-19. And those were your scores from Week 1's games in the NFL. So now let's give you a preview of Week 2's most important games. The San Francisco 49ers will square off against the Minnesota Vikings. First for San Francisco, dominant performance on Monday night, beating the New York Jets. No Christian McCaffrey, no problem. Jordan Mason handled his business in this game. Jordan said, Christian who? I tell you one thing, not just the credit to the 49ers running game, but kudos to the 49ers offensive line because they made the Jets defense eat dirt in this game. And certainly Jordan Mason, he handled his business. And when Jordan was able to run the ball effectively against the Jets, Brock Purdy was able to make plays to Deebo Samuel, Jawan Jennings, George Kittle, Kyle Juszczyk, just to name a few. So San Francisco playing typical 49ers smash mouth football, open up the running game, opens up for the passing game. And they're going to go up against the Minnesota Vikings, who had an impressive performance against the New York Giants. No J.J. McCarthy, no problem. Sam Darnold, Sam handled his business in Week 1 in the New Jersey Meadowlands. Jordan Jefferson, Jordan Jefferson doing what Jordan does best, make great plays. Aaron Jones, what a Week 1 he had, scoring a touchdown and getting close to 100 yards for the Vikings. And, of course, the Vikings defense was big against the G-men. So we got the 49ers and the Vikings. You know about this matchup for decades, right? Joe Montana, Steve Young, Jerry Rice, John Taylor, Brent Jones, Ronnie Lott, also Tommy Kramer, Wade Wilson, Anthony Carter, Steve Jordan, Darren Nelson, Randy Moss, Randall Cunningham, Dante Culpepper, Chris Carter, 49ers, Vikings. The rivalry continues, and, man, I think this is going to be an exciting game in Minneapolis. The next most important game for Week 2 will be the New York Jets going up against the Tennessee Titans. So first for the Titans, they lost a tough game last week to the Chicago Bears. Tennessee, defensively, was able to get to the rookie quarterback Caleb Williams, but it was the Bears defense that was able to hold off the Titans and giving Tennessee the loss. So Tennessee, they've got Tony Pollard and they've got Tajay Sharp in the running attack. Will Levis, we'll see what he can do in the Titans home opener. As for the New York Jets, not the way they wanted to play on Monday night. The Jets defense got torched by the 49ers running game and that offense. The Jets defense hope to be much better against the Titans this week. Aaron Rodgers looking for a better game. His receivers like Garrett Wilson and Alan Lazard, they look to be much better Tennessee Titans. So it's going to be Tennessee's home opener while the Jets look to get their first win of the season in Music City, USA, in Nashville. We've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against the Detroit Lions. So first for the Buccaneers, impressive performance against the Washington Commanders. Baker Mayfield, he had a solid game, 4 touchdown passes in this contest. Chris Godwin was good. Mike Evans was good in this game. Bucs offensively was sharp. Also, too, their defense was solid as well. And the Bucs head to the Motor City to take on the Detroit Lions. This is a rematch of last year's thrilling playoff game between the Bucs and the Lions. So for the Lions, impressive come-from-behind victory Sunday night in overtime to beat the Los Angeles Rams. So the Lions and the Rams, they had a rematch last week of their thrilling playoff game. Well, this week, the Lions will have another playoff rematch against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from last year. So with the Buccaneers, you've got Baker Mayfield, you've got Chris Godwin, you've got Mike Evans, Rashad White. And for Detroit, Jared Goff, he looks to play much better this week against Tampa Bay. Amon-Ra St. Brown looks to have a better game this week as well. Jameson Williams looks to continue his success. How about Jahmyr Gibbs? He looks to continue his success. And also David Montgomery, the man who scored the game-winning touchdown against the Los Angeles Rams last Sunday night. He looks to continue his success in this game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So it should be a throwdown in Motown with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Detroit Lions. The Cincinnati Bengals going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. For the Bengals, they were upset last week by the New England Patriots. Joe Burrow didn't play his best game. He's looking to bounce back from this one. Jamar Chase, hopefully we'll get to see the Jamar Chase of the old in this game. As far as Kansas City, they won the Thursday night opener, beating the Baltimore Ravens in a tough game. And when you think of Bengals and Chiefs, of course you think about last year's playoff game, and you also just think about the two quarterbacks that define these franchises in the moment, in the present day. Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes. Of course, we're going to see Jamar Chase. We're going to see Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice. We're going to see Xavier Worthy. Those players are going to show up. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the quarterbacks. It's going to come down to Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes. I think this is going to be another one for the ages in Kansas City between the Bengals and the Chiefs. We've got the Pittsburgh Steelers going up against the Denver Broncos. For the Steelers, solid win over the Atlanta Falcons last week. Russell Wilson did not play in last week's game, was a last-minute replacement. Well, I should say Justin Fields was a last-minute replacement. Leading up to the game, Russell was expected to play, but hours before kickoff, they said Russell would not play due to a calf strain, so Justin Fields came in. He was effective. He was solid. He did what he needed to do to get the job done. The Steelers' defense, they always show up. When don't they show up, right? Like T.J. Watt, Cam Hayward, just to name a few. Steelers' defense, they're always going to show up. That's their pedigree. That's been their bread and butter for decades. As for the Denver Broncos, losing a close game to the Seattle Seahawks last week, their home opener. In their home opener, they look to rebound from that. I know Coach Sean Payton, a very prideful man, a very prideful coach. I know he's putting his game plan together, not just on the defensive side, but especially on the offensive side. And Bo Nix, what awaits him in his first home game as the quarterback of the Denver Broncos? Will he be ready, or will he have a case of the jitters? But bottom line is this. The main storyline is if Russell Wilson is playing in this game, we have Russell returning to Denver, Sean Payton, Russell Wilson, Steelers, Broncos, storylines galore in this one. This should be a hard-hitting and an interesting game. Sunday Night Football, the Chicago Bears go up against the Houston Texans. Let's start off with the Bears. So Chicago won a close one over the Tennessee Titans last week. Caleb Williams didn't look impressive in his NFL debut, but he made plays when necessary, and the Bears defense came through to help Chicago beat the Titans. As for the Houston Texans, a come-from-behind victory over their AFC South rival, Indianapolis Colts. C.J. Stroud, last year's Offensive Rookie of the Year, he came through in the clutch and made big plays to receivers like Stephon Diggs. And also Joe Mixon came up big in this game as well. And not just Stephon Diggs, but also Tank Dell and Nico Collins. But what it all boils down to is quarterback play. And in this modern-day NFL, it's about the quarterbacks. This is going to be about Caleb Williams versus C.J. Stroud. Both quarterbacks with strong arms, both quarterbacks with athletic ability, and this is what's going to come down to, the two quarterbacks, Caleb and C.J. Sunday Night Football, I think it's going to be an intriguing matchup with the Chicago Bears and the Houston Texans. Monday Night Football, the Atlanta Falcons square off against the Philadelphia Eagles. First for the Falcons, tough loss in Atlanta to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kirk Cousins did not play a great game at all. They struggled offensively, and they just could not get a touchdown to save their lives. As for the Philadelphia Eagles, they played their opener in Sao Paulo, Brazil, in an impressive game, beating the Green Bay Packers. So the Eagles will have their home opener. It's going to be Monday night. It is going to be an electric and a fiery and a spirited crowd in the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. Falcons, Eagles, a lot of expectations for the Eagles this year with all the moves that they made, including acquiring Saquon Barkley, and a lot of expectations for the Falcons as well, trying to get their first victory of the season. So Monday Night Football should be an exciting one in Philadelphia between the Atlanta Falcons and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now it's time for my game of the week. My game of the week is going to be the Atlanta Falcons versus the Philadelphia Eagles. For the Falcons, they signed Kirk Cousins to a mega 3-year contract. And they put a lot on the table to sign Kirk, considering him suffering an ACL injury last season. The question is, will he be the Kirk Cousins that we've grown to know and love for quite some time? It remains to be seen. But Kirk is looking over his shoulder because the Falcons, they drafted a quarterback in the first round, Michael Penix Jr. So if Kirk doesn't play well on Monday night, or if he stinks up the joint, will they put Penix in the game? Hey, it remains to be seen. But they've got a lot of expectations in Atlanta with Kirk Cousins and what he can do this year. And there's also a lot of expectations with the Philadelphia Eagles. During the offseason, Saquon Barkley signs with the team. Devontae Smith gets a contract extension. They also acquire wide receiver Jahan Dotson in a big trade. So the Eagles have positioned themselves to win between now and the next 5 years. Jalen Hurts got a contract extension. A.J. Brown got a contract extension. So between now and the next 5 years, the Eagles are going to be in the running to win a Super Bowl. And expectations are high for both teams. And you've got one team that's relying on a quarterback to get them to a Super Bowl, and you've got one team that's relying on a quarterback to not only get them to win a Super Bowl, but to maintain consistent play between now and the next 5 years. Falcons and Eagles, you know their pedigree, right? Falcons and Eagles, if you remember that playoff game with Matt Ryan going up against Nick Foles, and then the following year, it was the home opener in another thrilling game. I think this game is going to be a really good one and an exciting game. And again, I think it's going to come down to quarterback play. Kirk Cousins going up against Jalen Hurts. And we're going to see two QBs do their thing. You've got one quarterback that primarily gets it done with his arm and the pocket presence. You've got another quarterback that's going to get it done not just with his arm, but with his athletic ability as well. And I think this is going to be a great game in Philadelphia with the Atlanta Falcons and the Philadelphia Eagles, my game of the week. All right, before we get on out of here, I'm going to give you my picks on who I think will win Week 2's most important games. The San Francisco 49ers going up against the Minnesota Vikings. I like San Francisco to win. The New York Jets going up against the Tennessee Titans. I like the Jets to win. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against the Detroit Lions. I like Detroit to win. The Cincinnati Bengals going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. I like the Chiefs to win. The Pittsburgh Steelers going up against the Denver Broncos. I like Pittsburgh to win. Sunday Night Football, the Chicago Bears going up against the Houston Texans. I like Houston to win. Monday Night Football, the Atlanta Falcons going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. I like the Eagles to win. So again, my picks for Week 2's most important games are San Francisco, New York Jets, Detroit, Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Houston, and Philadelphia. And there you have it. That's going to do it for this edition of the program. Thank you so much again, everybody, for tuning in. Till next time, everybody, I'm Ed Robinson saying so long, and you take care.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for watching.